Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Pyramid Sports Network in this new series we have going on where we interview current and former professional athletes. And today we are joined by none other than the current Cubs farmhand and former and current South Jersey great, Alex Madera. Alex, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
So, to give a little background on Alex's career, Alex began his career in college at Arcadia University outside of Philadelphia after being a Delran High School legend and following up his career at Arcadia. In his 2021 season, he put together a 389 batting average with 25 stolen bases. In 2022, he put together a 464 batting average with a 554 OBP and 559 slug, 83 hits in 43 games with 38 bags on his way to Conference Player of the Year, and followed that up in 2023 by hitting 458 with 81 hits and another Conference Player of the Year. That led him to the University of North Carolina as a grad transfer, where he started at second base and shortstop over the course of two seasons, hitting 303 in 2024 and 332 and leading the Tar Heels in batting average in 2025. Both of those years, he was a finalist for the Rawlings Gold Glove Award in Division One baseball, and it is a pleasure to have him on the podcast. So, Alex, tell me who in your youth inspired you to become a baseball player?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think my dad had a lot to do with it. He definitely inspired me. He showed me, what it was like to work hard, each and every day. And then they kind of just showed me sports from a young age. So I've always been around sports, different sports. I actually was a big basketball fan. That's why I've always been a North Carolina fan, huge Tar Heels basketball guy. So, but definitely him and my brother. We always used to go out back and play wiffle ball or basketball in the front yard, and I'm a competitive guy, so I hated losing and wanted to win. So, I continued to work at it, and it definitely helped.
And coming from a town that is not necessarily known for their baseball in Delran, New Jersey, how do you think kind of being that diamond in the rough really helped you throughout your career? Was that an extra chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, no, definitely. You said it perfectly. I think I always kind of had that chip on my shoulder. I was always a, smaller guy. Tend to get overlooked kind of my whole life, like honestly, kind of the whole story. So I kind of use that as fuel. One of my best friends, Luke Smith, he was always the guy, threw really hard, those kind of things. So, he was always the guy there. And then once he was gone, it was RJ Moten, big football and baseball guy committed to Michigan at the time. So, I was kind of always in the shadows behind them. So I think that kind of like put a chip on my shoulder and, made me want to be better and just allow me to work hard and get to where ultimately where I wanted to get to.
And it's very apparent in my experience watching you play that you do play with that chip on your shoulder and kind of playing like your hair's on fire at all times. And it's really been a pleasure to watch throughout your career. And I think um, I would like you to tell me kind of some of your inspiration growing up in terms of players and guys you modeled your game after. I know that we grew up in South Jersey during a time where the middle infield in Philadelphia was pretty special. So I was wondering if you had any characteristics you like to see in yourself out of those guys.
Yeah, no, I mean you said it perfectly. Chase Utley was my guy. Loved watching him play. Just the passion and fire that he had too. I think he was just such a competitor. It was so fun to watch him play. He didn't care who he was going up against or that type of stuff. So he was just one of those guys that was going to get in that box. He was going to compete, and it was me versus you. So I liked watching those type of guys. I also really liked Dustin Pedroia, smaller guy, somebody I could kind of model my game after. Just hard-nosed players and guys that play the game the right way. Those are the guys that I really, really like watching.
So, if we transition from high school to your college career, you go to Arcadia, which I'm not from Jersey, I'm from Massachusetts, but probably pretty close to where you grew up.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, 45 minutes.
What other schools were interested in you as a junior, senior in high school?
Yeah, so I actually was talking to St. Joe's for a while.
Hmm.
I was obviously one of those kids just like pretty much everybody else, but my mind was set on Division 1. Like I wanted to go play Division 1 baseball, you know, didn't really look into Division 2, Division 3, JUCO, none of that. It was just set on Division 1. Um, and, talking to St. Joe's for a while, and then St. Joe's calls me one day and they're like, yeah, we just gave our last scholarship away. But we'll take you as a preferred walk-on. So I talked to my travel ball coaches and, they said that you're probably going to redshirt at some point and that sort of stuff. And I wanted to play, wanted to
Mhm.
go somewhere where I could compete and play right away. Um, so I actually, didn't really have too many. I was talking to Arcadia. I talked to a couple other like Division 3s in the area, like Rowan, those kind of schools. But Rome was pretty much like a Delran high school, but like bigger. So I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to know like everybody. I wanted to kind of get a fresh start. Arcadia seemed like a great fit. I love the coaching staff, love the players when I went on a visit there. So and they had a good history of winning at least the past 2 years before that. They were conference champions. So, I wanted to go somewhere where we are going to compete for a championship and had a chance to play.
And you got to play right away, and you produced and kind of showed that you belonged at the level or even above. What were kind of your main takeaways from your time at Arcadia? Things that obviously you wouldn't have expected or gotten had you gone D1 right away, but like some of the biggest things you learned from being there that you brought with you.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think, some of the biggest things are, and this we'll probably touch on later, but just the differences from Division 3 and Division 1. Like Division 3, you have, I mean, you get like basically 20 hours, I think it was, or whatever it was in the fall.
Mhm.
Like the fall, you get nothing as a Division 3 athlete. So everything's really on your own. It's all about like how much are you going to put in extra to get you ready for the season? Because obviously you can't just practice 4 times a week and expect to be good in the spring. Like you got to be doing stuff on your own. So I think that's honestly one thing that I probably took from Arcadia and something that, going there, I knew, I was just going to have to grind. And that's something that I've always really enjoyed is just, getting my work in. And I don't mind, getting my work in on my own and that type of
Yeah,
stuff. So I think that was something also that I kind of had to learn too. Because in high school, you're always with your buddies and you're working with them, but just trying to find a way to push myself. I think that was the biggest thing.
for sure. What was the transfer process like? I know Quinn has some experience transferring to our school after his first year. What was your experience like? Was it UNC or nothing? Did you have a couple schools you were thinking about?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that. My coach put me in the portal before my senior year even started. It was, I want to say, like a week or two before we started classes before my senior year. I talked to him and he said, a lot of kids in the Division 3 that are trying to make that jump, that have grad years, COVID years, they're going in the portal early and they're committing before their season, don't even have to worry about it. Like, is that something that you'd be interested in? And I was like, yeah, definitely. So he put me in the portal and then, he was like, I want you the first 2 weeks to just not reach out to anybody. Just see who contacts you, and go from there. So I don't reach out to anybody in the first couple days. I mean, it was phone calls from just like Rutgers, West Virginia, um, Old Dominion, like just a bunch of like mid-major but like good baseball programs. And West Virginia actually wanted me to go before my senior year of high school. I told everybody on the phone, I was like, listen, like this is for my grad years. Like I'm not transferring this year. And talk to them and they're like, yeah, we actually want you to get here this year. So that was a really hard decision because I didn't talk to anybody else at that time. It was pretty much them and like a couple other schools around the area. Um, but I was just sitting in my room and I'm already back at school now. And I'm like, what do I do? Like calling my parents, like, I don't know what to do. And my dad's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. Part of me thinks I should, but part of me thinks I shouldn't. And he's like, well, that's your answer. Like, you're not going. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. He's like, if you're not fully set on it, like don't like you're not gonna like you're gonna live with regret. So I was like, yeah, that's a really good point. And thank God I did because a couple weeks go by and then it was just all a bunch of Power 5s. But my dream school has always been UNC. So
Mm.
as soon as they reached out, it was a no-brainer. Like I didn't even I hung up the phone with Coach Forbes. I told him that's right there on the spot. I was like, I'm coming to UNC. And
Yep.
he's like, give it the weekend, talk to your parents, like then call me back. I was like, I will, but I'm telling you, I'm coming. Like I know I'm going there. Like I've always wanted to, I'm coming here. But yeah.
What was the first week like, or first month like? Maybe a little bit of being starstruck by I'm actually on the UNC baseball team, and then realizing that that comes with a job and an obligation to do things the right way, and it's definitely a little bit more of a commitment than playing D3.
Oh, definitely. Like I kind of touched on earlier, like soon as you get there and we start, like you're right into pretty much spring. Like it's the fall and like you have certain like um requirements or hours and regulations and that kind of stuff, but you're going every day. Like you're practicing Monday. In the fall, you probably get off like Saturday or Sunday, one of the days. But you're going. So it's like that was the difference that really kind of stuck out to me from Division 3 to Division 1 was like, okay, these guys are like they're getting after it every single day. Like it's not like individual work, like actually individual work on your own where no coaches are there and you just got to show up and put in work on your own.
Mhm.
It's like these are actual practices. You got to get ready. And then my first, it's actually funny because Jake Knapp's here with the Cubs with me. But my first at bat in the fall was against him, my very first live at bat at North Carolina. And he was projected to be our Friday night starter for 24 and then ended up getting Tommy John, missed the whole year. Um, but I go up against him and my I'm the type of guy that I sit dead red heater and adjust to whatever else. And for some reason, I get in this box and my mind's going. And I'm thinking about like, oh my God, he's going to throw a fastball here. Like, got to be on time for it. Watch a fastball right down the middle. Then I'm like, all right, he just blew me away. Like, either going to come back with that or going to go to like some off speed. Another one right down the middle. I'm like, all right, two strikes. Definitely going to throw me off speed here. Fastball right down the middle. I walk back to the dugout. I'm like, damn. Like, welcome to it. Like, you got to be ready to go. Like, got to be ready to go. But that was just like a little welcome to it moment. And then I kind of, took a deep breath and was like, all right, like I'm here for a reason, how to just remind myself that and, just confidence. Cause that's the biggest thing too. If you're confident, you're going to go a long way.
Were there some guys you just touched on, like at UNC, how Jake Knapp was, kind of a wake-up call, but were there guys on other teams that kind of just blew you away? Maybe not just pitchers or, hitters of any kind, like in conference, or maybe if you guys had some cool out-of-conference experiences too.
Yeah, no, definitely. In conference, I mean, Nick Kurtz, my first year there, he just destroyed baseballs. Like we were playing them in the ACC tournament in the semifinal, and he hit a ball backside that looked like a righty pulled it. It was I've never seen a ball hit. I was like, holy hell, like that's insane. But he was just a freak. James Tibbs was another guy, and Cam Smith on Florida State. They were both really good. And then you obviously got guys like Trey Savage, East Carolina. It was really cool to face him. Chase
How'd you
Burns.
do against him?
Yeah, Savage, I did good against. I was
Okay.
2 for 3 with a double and an RBI. I think we won 2-1. So
And then
it's
there's
a good.
the legendary strike three call against Chase Burns in the ACC tournament. I know if you wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I got down quick 0-2 too, and then I thought I worked a good at bat, and I was spitting on some good sliders down, and then he threw me another one that was in the dirt, and I had a few words for the umpire. I did. I had to turn to him and I told him, and then but he did. I told him it was in the dirt, and then he looked at me and said, "I know, Alex. I'm sorry. I missed it." And then that just sent me off the
What?
rails. Like
Oh,
that was something. I was like,
Against a pitcher of that caliber and
yeah,
that
who just does he
stage.
doesn't need any help at all. Like
No,
he's already got electric stuff. He doesn't.
that was a 92-mile-an-hour banger in the other batter's
Yeah.
box that
Was it a
you're ringing
big
me up
spot
on.
too? Like, were you like fighting to get some runs across at that time, or was it?
Oh yeah, no, that was a really tight game. Like I want to say it was maybe 1-0 or zero
Oh my
zero, or
gosh.
they were up a couple runs. But yeah, it was really tight game. Like that's the ACC. That was the semifinal game. We ended up going into I want to say like 13 or 14 innings. And then they ended up beating us. So um,
Jeez.
that year. But yeah, that was a brutal one.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
So you mentioned the mental side and the confidence aspect of being a hitter, and I was wondering what were some of the best things you've learned, whether it be Delran, Arcadia, summer ball, the couple of weeks you've been with the Cubs so far, that have really helped you take your mental side of the game to the next level?
Yeah, I think honestly at UNC is where like the mental side like started really coming into play for me. Like I really started having to focus on it more. Um and I didn't realize like how big it actually is. But you know, just things like being confident, finding a routine, whether it's, in between pitches, just looking at my bat and, telling myself like, okay, like you're good, like whatever, so what next pitch, or just like be aggressive, just little things that I can tell myself constantly to remind myself that like, hey, you're here for a reason. I think that's another big one too, is like you're here for a reason. Like you have to know like wherever you make it to, wherever you get to, like you are there for a reason. Like you're not just there to be there. Like you're not like everybody is in a certain spot for a reason and you got to do a certain job. So like I think that's one thing that I bought into really well is like I know myself. Like I know I'm not a power hitter. I know I'm not a guy that's gonna leave the yard 25, 30 times in a year. So I got to stick to my game and not try to get too big and start hitting homers. Like if I run into one, great. But like my game is try and live gap to gap and get on base. Like I'm trying to get on base. So like if I start popping up to the infield, like it does no good for anybody. So I think that's one thing too that like honestly has been huge that I've got here is like they told me like, hey, we don't want you to change. Like we don't want you to change the type of hitter you are to try and hit homers. Like, yeah, we want you to get more power, like obviously. Like we want you to get stronger and that kind of stuff, which that'll come. Um, but they're like we don't want you to change who you are. Like do what got you here. Like do what you're good at, and then that'll get you a long way. So
Going off that, how much of that did they say when you got to UNC too? Because the batting average was obviously there at Arcadia, and then on a D1 scale, hitting over 300 for 2 years. That's obviously a good high quality batting average. So, how many adjustments did you make within your approach at the plate going from D3 to D1? And then what have you done to tweak it also now in the pros with the Cubs?
yeah, no, that's another really good question. I think from D3 to D1, like a lot of it honestly was just like believing in yourself. Like at first I was like blown away. I'm like everybody's throwing gas, like getting blown up, whatever. Um, but it's just all about timing. So like if you're slow with your feet, slow with your timing. So I would go no stride. I've always been a no stride guy up until pretty much now, which I'll talk about. But always been a no stride guy. At Arcadia, I was really wide. My feet were, I mean, just like so wide. I was low, and I thought I was using my legs, but I really wasn't, and I didn't know that. So once I got to UNC, they helped me. All the tools and cameras and things that they have, they're able to analyze every single swing like so much better than what I was used to. So they could see how I wasn't using the ground and they would tell me. So just doing different drills to, try and help myself use my lower half. I ended up narrowing up a little bit. I still went no stride. My legs were still spread, but I narrowed up a little bit. So allowed me to get into my legs a little bit more, to feel like I had at least more power. I was definitely hitting the ball a little bit harder, more consistently. And then once I got here, this whole off season, I was working on more power because that's the thing that I heard from everybody, is you got to hit from you got to hit for more power if you want to get a chance at the next level and all that kind of stuff. Um, so this whole off season, I was just working on incorporating a little stride. Like it's nothing crazy. It's basically just a pick up, put down kind of thing. But just to get me in my legs even a little bit more, to help me with that power. So those are definitely some things that I've tweaked. And then like approach wise, I honestly wouldn't say I really tweaked much. Like honestly, as weird as this is gonna like be to say, it's like I feel like I've been more selective here, which is
Hmm.
like I feel like it's a good thing because like everybody has like they have really good stuff. But like a lot of the pitchers are like swing and miss, like strike out, like get you to chase guys. So like if you can control the zone and like you're swinging at the right pitches and be a little bit more selective, I feel like it helps, and it definitely has helped me. Um, here for sure. And with the wood bat, it's just another thing. Like you obviously don't want to get jammed too much, or you don't want to hit one off the end. So you're trying to find balls that you can actually barrel. So I feel like you're just being a little bit more selective, which definitely helps with the power component.
For sure.
Yeah, going off that like development side, what are some of the biggest changes that you see from a like a coach's perspective, or like how they incorporate technology from Arcadia to UNC to now being with the Cubs? Our exit meetings in the fall and whatnot are kind of like, here's how you stand, here's what we want you to do, and it's pretty brief. But I remember Coach Backage from Clemson posted like an inside of a Power Four meeting, whatever. It was pretty cool. They used a bunch of data, so I'm curious like what that kind of looks like for you guys at those different levels.
Yeah, no. So Division 3 Arcadia was very similar. You'd sit down with the coaching staff and, they'd ask you questions about, how you thought you did this fall and those kind of things. And then they'd tell you like, hey, this is where we think you're at right now. Like if you're a starter, if you're a bench guy or whatever, they kind of tell you what they think your role is going to be. And then like you got to buy into it. And then you go from there. And obviously, when you come back in the spring from winter break, like if you're not working out in that time, like somebody's gonna beat you, like somebody's gonna pass you. And that's the same for Division 1 from that aspect, obviously from the working and all that stuff. But the difference there was they just had so many, like they had so much video of at bats, and they're able to go in and show you, like they'd give you a sheet and it was a full breakdown of your at bats, your hits, your hard hits, like your batting average, slugging, all the metrics. And the green ones were ones that you were higher than the average in the team, and the red ones were the ones that you were lower than the average. So they would kind of look at that and be like, "Hey, this is what we think you need to work on." Obviously, for me, it was power, and that kind of stuff that they wanted me to work on. But yeah, they just have so many more different tools. Even here, like we were doing, I was doing steel starts with Kane Kepley the other day, and we literally have a pitcher on a big screen, and it's random whether he's gonna pitch or he's gonna pick. So you literally have to do it, and we're diving back and doing all that. So it's like cool that they actually have these different tools that they're able to use where before like you're not getting a live pitcher like that. Like you just got to do reps like with a coach or something, and it's not the same. So you kind of get that like in-game feel a little bit, which is nice. And then there's always, the practices here on the field when we're hitting, it's always competing. It's always machine work where it's either cutter, curveball, two machines, always just trying to compete so that way you can get better.
And I think moving on to your now time with the Cubs, what was getting that call like to know that you were going to sign your first professional contract?
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expecting it. I was actually driving home from the gym and I just got a random phone call on a Tuesday, and he was like, "Hey, I talked to your indie ball team because I was signed to go play independently. I talked to your indie ball team. I talked to Kane Kepley, who was my teammate last year, and he said, we're gonna sign you." And I was like, "Really?" Like I got off the phone and I was like calling my agent, I was like, "I don't know if this is real. Like I need to to find out." And then I got a call from another guy, and he told me that I was hopping on a plane on Thursday and getting sent out to Arizona. Told me I needed to pack for the next 8 months of my life and hop on a plane. and
That's
and
that's
yeah,
crazy.
and just get here and kind of do whatever. And I got here, and luckily I had Kane Kepley and Jake Knapp, because I would have been so lost. Like that first day, I'm like they just like expect you to know like where you're going. I'm like walking around just looking. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. And they're like, "You need something?" I'm like, I don't know. I honestly don't know what I'm doing. Like somebody's got to show me what to do. Um, but yeah, no, the call was surreal. It was just such an awesome moment.
That's super cool. Um, Now that you've turned professional, what's the lifestyle change like? I know at UNC, it's like a little bit more like focused in on baseball outside of other things, but what is the biggest difference in your overall routine? Maybe it be on the field or maybe it just be overall life.
Yeah, I think honestly it's more off the field. On the field it's, you get there normally at 7:30. You'll have work starting at like 8:30 and then you're done by 1, 2:30, 3-ish, depending on like lift, that kind of stuff. So not crazy like late long days. But you're on your feet and that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest thing for me was um off the field, like taking care of my body. Now I don't have class, don't have to worry about that, which is awesome. So I take a little bit better care of my body, roll out, try and stretch a bunch. I use the hot tub here at the hotel, that kind of stuff. So I think that's the gonna be the biggest thing for me too. Just trying to maintain your body because I obviously haven't played 100 and whatever they play in the minors, 120, 130 games. So I got to make sure that my body's good. So that's definitely the biggest thing that I've been focusing on.
What is the strength and conditioning stuff like at Cubs camp? Like, I'm sure it's different. It's miles above a college strength and conditioning program, but what is your schedule like on a given week? How often are you in the weight room doing intense stuff? How specifically tailored is it? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so they have a lot of strength coaches. I want to say there's like 10 to 12. Like there's a bunch. Um, and but we just started like scrimmaging for minor leagues, so it's gone down to 3 times a week, but it was 4 times a week where it was Monday, or yeah, it was Monday, Tuesday, light day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday lifts, and then you'd have a light day Saturday and Sunday. It's been light. It like depends. Some guys have off. Some guys will practice. But now with games starting, we're going to 3 lifts a week. So I think it's or no, because we're off Monday. So it's Tuesday, off Wednesday, lift Thursday, off Friday, lift Saturday. So they try and space it out a little bit. That way to kind of help your body. But it was when it was 4 days, it was upper lower, like focused, and then you obviously
Yeah.
had like other movements, whether it was med ball stuff or curls and those types of things. And now it's upper, lower, full body. Which obviously the days that you're doing upper and lower, it pretty much was full body. Like it was never just like, oh, you're gonna go hit chest like you would at the gym. Um, but yeah, so I think it's been crazy. Like you'll go in there to lift, and you'll lift with basically like only you and like 3 other guys
Mhm.
and a strength coach. So it's like they're right there watching
Yeah.
you, like pushing you, which is awesome. It's been great.
Mhm.
There's
Are the guys, sorry, I'm just real
no, go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead. It's my
Are
bad.
like is your lift treated differently than a guy who's like they wanted to cut 10 pounds and get a little faster? Are you guys
Yeah,
doing different stuff? They got different priorities?
yeah, so they have a nice big like whiteboard in there, and it's got, I mean, like 10 or 15 different lifts on there. And it's kind of like based on how you feel. Like if you feel better, they're gonna want to push you a little bit more. So you're gonna do something that's gonna be a little bit heavier weight and maybe a little bit more on the body, like a little bit more toll on the body. But if you're sore, or if you're a guy that's rehabbing, or pitchers are also on a different schedule, and it does. It just all depends on the type of person you are and how you're feeling that day and that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a bunch of different things that they will do. There's some guys that'll go in there and they won't even be lifting weights. Like they'll just be on a different plan. So it's good that they tailor it more towards you, which is nice.
What is kind of the difference in the lifts on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so it kind of depends. Like they've been trying to do it. They're trying to space it out now. I believe Wednesday, or well, I know it's Saturday, and I want to say, actually, I think it was today. So I guess Saturdays and Thursdays they want to keep like lighter days.
Mhm.
So they try to have you out there for less time like out on the field. Like if you're out there, it'll be cages, ground balls for 30 minutes, base running for 30 minutes, something else, and then you're not on the field anymore, and then you'll go lift. So like those days they'll push you a little bit harder in the weight room. And now that we're starting to scrimmage, like they try and do it on days. I mean, you will lift like if we have a scrimmage or something, like they don't necessarily really care. Like they want you to get your lift in. Um, but sometimes it just won't be like as heavy weight. Like you could still do the same thing and just do, a little bit less weight. They're good with that type of stuff. But definitely when the scrimmages weren't here, it was, they want you to put some weight on the bar.
You had mentioned before the podcast when we were talking a little bit that you had the opportunity to be reserve in a couple of big league spring training games. What was that experience like? And were there any moments where you felt starstruck, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, no, definitely. We actually played the Padres at the Padres Stadium a couple days ago. And obviously a big Phillies guy, so I got to see Nick Castellanos over there. So that was kind of crazy to see him. And then the other day we played the Rangers, Corey Seager. I mean, he had a tank and got to watch DeGrom start. So like that day I was sitting in the dugout and I was like, this is so cool. This is so cool. But yeah, no, it's been awesome, and I've been, obviously I haven't gotten in a game. I would love to. The competitive aspect of me, I'd love to get in a game, but at the same time, I've been trying to tell myself like, dude, I just got to be grateful. Like I obviously a month ago I was sitting like at home, like planning on going to play indie ball. Now I'm here getting a chance to back up these games, like whether I get in or not, like I'm just super grateful for the opportunity, and the fact that I'm even in the dugout is just surreal.
Regarding like spring training and whatnot, how tailored out is everything, with, me and Kevin were talking about the Tarek Skubal stuff a couple of days ago. Like, how super specific and organized is everything for each player?
Yeah, it's super detailed. I know the pitchers, obviously it's even more. They have, certain days where they're throwing for certain amount of feet and distances, and um they'll be throwing like, oh, I have a bullpen Tuesday, and then I'm throwing live on Friday or Saturday, and then like so they know exactly when they're throwing and all that kind of stuff. And then for us, they'll send out a plan the night before, usually anywhere from like 7 to 9, 9 p.m. They'll send out a plan, and it's super detailed. It'll be so time specific. It'll be like 7:30 to 8, you have a meeting, and then 8:15 to 8:45 you're doing cages, and then 8:50 to 9:35 you're doing on field base running, and then 9:40 to, like, they time everything out, and it's just so detail oriented. It's crazy.
So, thinking back to your roots as a ball player from New Jersey, I think we've all seen recently this uptick in professional baseball players coming out of the state. What do you think attributes most to that, or do you think it's more a state that was underrated in terms of baseball?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I think it's a little bit of both. Like I think the Phillies had something to do with it. I think, those runs, obviously, guys want to, they see that and they're like, oh, I want to do that. So I think they definitely had something to do with it. But I also think, just they didn't get, like, we didn't get enough credit. You don't see like a lot of guys, it's not a big, we don't really have that power five. I mean, we have Rutgers, but like Rutgers is Rutgers. Um, so we don't really have like those big power fives that are right around us. So I feel like sometimes we just get underlooked and missed. But I feel like that could definitely be a factor for that. But yeah, no, I definitely think it's a little bit of both.
I think you see, obviously, the arguably the greatest player to come out of New Jersey, Mike Trout, and then you have guys like Kyle Teal who are starting to make their way into the big leagues, and you have other guys, AJ Gracia, getting ready to go in the first round, high first round. So it's a really exciting time to be a New Jersey, a guy from New Jersey. Just it's cool to see a state that all the jokes aside, it kind of it's underrated in a lot of aspects. But one thing that is away from the baseball and more towards a question that I had, is it okay to say you're from outside of Philadelphia when you're from South Jersey?
Yes.
Thank you.
I always say that I'm just over the bridge, and everybody at North Carolina gave me crap for it. Everybody. They're like, oh, dude, that's what everybody from Jersey says. It's what everybody. I'm like, dude, I am actually like, look it up.
We're 20 minutes away.
I'm 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Like, I'm not kidding. And they just failed to believe it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I don't know what to tell you. I'm just over the bridge.
I think
It's,
that's fine as an outsider.
I
I
respect
wouldn't
it.
have a
Thank
problem
you.
with it. You're right next to Philly. Just
Exactly.
because you're not in the state, you're right next to it. That's like someone right outside of DC in Northern Virginia.
And I give a lot of New Jersey credit in terms of claiming Philadelphia. I think that you can kind of push the boundaries a little bit because it it really comes down to my eyes to your fandom. And if you're gonna go die for the birds on a given Sunday, then you can say you're from outside of Philadelphia. But I think you're starting to push it a little bit when you get down into Vineland. Um, I think you're real far out there. And I don't know if you're outside Philadelphia. I think you're from Vineland. But my last question that I had, and I think we can get ready to wrap this up, is what was a better championship? Was it winning the Regional and going to the College World Series, or was it winning the 2022 FCBL, FGCBL Collegiate Baseball Championship with the Cortez Anglers?
That's a fantastic question. It's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. That team was a lot of fun. I did have so much fun that summer. A lot of good guys, so much fun. It was cool to win that championship. I think that was the inaugural season
It
too,
was
right?
first year of the Anglers. Shout out Nolan
Exactly.
Nyman.
Yeah. So that was awesome. But I mean, winning that super regional going to Omaha was unbelievable. It was just such a cool experience. I mean, even I as a person, like if you're a baseball fan, especially college baseball, and you haven't gone to the College World Series, like you got to go at some point. It was just such a cool experience. Like everything's right there. It's just awesome. I highly suggest it.
Yeah, talk to us about that experience a little bit before we wrap up. Like, just honestly, just talk about it. It's so cool. Omaha is such a cool experience every year. I'm so interested to hear about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's awesome. Like the whole town is just Omaha, like ready for like the College World Series. Like everything, everywhere you go is College World Series, College World Series. Like it's so cool. I mean, you get escorts, police escorts to the stadium from the hotel. Like it's the coolest thing. But and the fans obviously are awesome. But it's just so surreal. Like there's a nice little they have a nice little town there and they do this thing. I think they call it Fan Fest. Could be something different. Um, but they call it Fan Fest and it's just all these different vendors with just so much merchandise and obviously every school that's in the College World Series, they have all these different clothing and hats and things for you. So obviously we spent a ton of money. But it was so worth it. It was just such a cool experience. And
Did you go ahead? Go ahead.
we did get to have a little bit of fun. We got knocked out. And we did go out the last night because we were like, all right, you know, we got knocked out. We're done. Like we're old
Might as
enough.
well.
It's yeah, exactly. So we did get to experience, you know, a little bit, which was really cool.
And so
That's
yeah, I guess my last question was: is that jersey frame that baby blue pinstripe?
dude, crazy you say that. We actually didn't get to keep a jersey from the College World Series.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Coach Forbes, if somehow you're
Terrible.
watching this, dude, like, come
We have to
on, dude,
cut.
I need
We
it.
have to cut this out.
That's
No, yeah,
terrible.
but we did on senior day we did get like a framed nice
There
jersey,
you go.
which was nice. But we did get to keep we got to keep the patches, the College World Series patches. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I think you guys got anything else? Ryan,
No.
Kev, nothing.
All
All
good.
right. Well, I think
Awesome.
that'll wrap up this interview. I appreciate it, Alex. I appreciate you coming on the show, and it's going to be a very exciting time for you as a ball player and for us as now having a friend of the program in minor league baseball and being able to keep up with someone. And wait until that day comes when you're going to get that big league at bat, and it's going to be beautiful.
I appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Alex. Really
Yeah,
appreciate
thanks
it.
for coming.
Thank you.